President Trump is stepping up his war on drugs in the Caribbean after U.S. strikes killed 14 narco-terrorists on alleged drug boats yesterday. And now he's turning up the pressure on Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro.
Well, the U.S. has long opposed Maduro and his predecessor, Hugo Chavez, deploying a naval armada that arrived off the Venezuelan coast in recent days, while B-1 bombers have been sent into the air in the latest push to pressure Maduro's regime and support opposition efforts.
Maduro is firing back, claiming President Trump is fabricating a new eternal war and threatening to revoke the citizenship of some of his regime's fiercest opponents.
Including our next guest, Manhattan Institute fellow and Venezuelan freedom activist Daniel DiMartina, who joins us now. Daniel, great to see you. Thank you for being here. You can't help but to think back to another president in Latin America, in that same territory, named Manuel Noriega, who decades ago was accused, very realistically, viably accused by the United States of trafficking in drugs, dealing with a lot of bad characters. And the United States actually went in to get him out. And they arrested him. And as far as I remember, he died in jail in the United States. Is that the kind of thing that Maduro is facing right now?
I would say that what Noriega did is like a baby in diapers compared to what Maduro is doing. Because Maduro is not only a drug trafficker, Maduro is also collaborating with Hezbollah, with Iran, with Russia, with China. He sends money. He has a lot of resources that he uses to fund communist parties in other countries, including Colombia. How do you think Gustavo Petro came to power, who's now giving trouble to the United States?
The Colombian,
And so what Maduro is doing is much worse and represents a much bigger threat in a country that has so much more potential, right, because of the oil industry.
Yeah, so Daniel, since this process started with President Trump saying no more of this, there have been 11 strikes on these terrorist boats, 57 killed and 3 survivors. This is from the Department of War and President Trump. In terms of how this goes on, do you think that this regime is just going to triple down, double down, continue to send these boats, even after the president sent this massive U.S. military response in a way that you don't see unless you're really starting some kind of very serious military operation that goes beyond taking out a few narco-terrorists who are trafficking drugs? What do you think he's thinking now? Obviously, he's threatening you. He's threatening to take your citizenship away. But broadly, do you think he's going to try and see his way out of this, or is he going to double down on this insanity?
You see, Maduro's only reason to remain in power is to continue making money with drugs. So he's never going to stop as long as he's in power. And if he can't do it through sea, he will do it through land, which is why I support very much President Trump's threat that when they continue trafficking drugs through land, we're going to do land strikes in Venezuela next. And really, that's the only solution. You will never stop a country that is literally a drug trafficking, terrorist-ruled nation. That's what Marco Rubio has said. These people are not a government. They're a drug trafficking country. It's so much so that Maduro's nephews themselves were in prison in the United States for trafficking cocaine, and they only got released because Joe Biden released them back to Venezuela, a grave mistake that I hope President Trump does not.
Yeah, but the problem that I have is it's not about one man. It's about a system. I mean, Hugo Chavez was his predecessor. He kind of set up the system. There was already semi-socialism in Venezuela, but he went whole hog and went politically into a communist system. It's how do you get rid of the system? I mean, it's easier in a way to get rid of a person. It's more difficult to get rid of a system because he has an army behind him.
So I actually think it's pretty simple. Everybody there is self-interested. If the Trump administration does what they have been threatening to do, which is they have CIA operations in the country, they conduct land strikes, and they eradicate people like Maduro or other top regime leaders like Diosdado Cabello, Delcy Rodriguez, everybody will flee, and they will flee to Russia, they will flee to Cuba, and the Venezuelan people who overwhelmingly oppose them will be able to finally return democracy. And not just democracy, but prosperity. No more migrant crisis, no more illegal drug trafficking, no more Tren de Aragua, more oil, less migration.
Yeah, you know this, but 70% of Venezuelans live in abject poverty, while people like Maduro are living high on the hog by poisoning American citizens. It used to be one of the richest countries in the world and could absolutely return to that if the opposition were able to get a better foothold with Maduro out of the picture. Final word to you, Daniel.
Go
yeah,
ahead,
that's
Dan.
exactly what would happen. That's exactly what would happen, Katie. And people need to understand that this is in the interest of the United States. President Trump is defending the American homeland by stopping drug traffickers for the first time. And we could have an U.S. ally instead of a Chinese, an Iranian, and Russian ally in South America if we finally brought freedom to Venezuela.
I just wanted to say that you are in very good company, by the way. There are 20 people on that list, including the new Nobel Peace Prize winner, Maria Machado.
It's a great honor.
Yeah, so you're in the best of company. So but I do worry about you. Take care of yourself, Daniel.
Be safe. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Katie.
Good to see you.